Thank you, Amit, for the introduction, and thank you, AAs, for the wonderful opportunity and a wonderful designed course for this one. So my topic is a little more difficult given by Amit, and it is related to perimetry versus disc imaging, and it's a difficult topic. What it's an indicator for starting or changing treatment in glaucoma. There are no financial disclosures. Whenever we do any sort of test, it is only in a suspicion of a disease. And if we have no suspicion of a disease, ideally, we should be doing no testing, whether it's a visual fields or whether it is any sort of imaging. For any imaging that I'll be doing in this presentation, it's mainly related to the OCT, which is the most commonly used imaging modality as of now. Combined with all these factors that we have to take into consideration before we actually decide whether we need to treat the patient or don't treat the patient. Every patient does not require therapy. Why it is important is because there is a cost of therapy which needs to be balanced with the quality of life. We just cannot give therapy to every single suspect patient, but there is also a patient's fear of going blind, and a physician also desires that there should be no harm to them. So there has to be a balance to what we are trying to achieve from our therapy. Now, glaucoma is basically an issue about diagnosis about glaucoma and progression about glaucoma, and we have to rely on visual field defects and imaging defects and whether they are stable or whether they are increasing. However, the initial evaluation of any patient may not lead to a confirmed diagnosis or a decision to treat the patient. So follow-up of suspects and patients at appropriate intervals for the detection of progression based on optic disc examination, imaging, and serial visual fields is crucial to find out whether we actually need to treat the patient or not. Take this example: a 26-year-old male with a history of trauma in the right eye around 10 years back has an angle recession in the right eye. And if you look closely, there are some slit nerve fiber layer defects in the right eye superiorly, and we see some corresponding defects in the visual fields and the OCT in the right eye. The left eye appears to be fairly normal, but even then, we do not require a treatment because intraocular pressures are under control, and it does not require a treatment. We just monitored for 6 monthly whether there is an increase in glaucoma in the right eye or not. Take another example of this visual fields. The patient is on medication, and we see two visual fields over a couple of years, and we see that it looks fairly stable to us if we look on the close terms. But if we miss that disc hemorrhage in that eye, we'll possibly miss a further progression which is likely to happen. So clinical evaluation of optic disc in consideration to what we see in the visual fields or the imaging is also mandatory to find out whether the patient is likely to progress or not. But there may be agreements and disagreements between the two testing, whether we're talking about visual fields and OCT for this purpose. And we should not base our diagnosis and therapy on the results of a single test, and we have to take all these pictures before we actually have a step ladder approach to find a treatment. Otherwise, we'll land up something called as a red disease and the green disease, which I'll come up subsequently. Take this patient who's a 61-year-old female, and you can see some slit nerve fiber layer defects and a superior thinning in the left eye. And we see a corresponding defects in the OCT as well as the GCC, and we see some inferior defects. So it's fine. So things correlate to what we see clinically on the optic disc. The right eye appears to be normal to me, and all the imaging comes out to be normal. Take this example, and we can see the slit nerve fiber layer defect in the red-free picture in the left eye. And the OCT only shows borderline defects. We may actually miss out. If we miss a clinical evaluation of optic disc, we may actually overpass this OCT testing, which is just showing a borderline changes there. Take this 24-year-old male who's a steroid responder with open angles, and the right eye appears to be normal to us. In the left eye, there is a presence of a nerve fiber layer defect inferiorly, which is marked with a red arrow. We can easily overlook this visual fields as being fairly normal, except for that single spot there. And if you do the OCT for this patient, it comes out to be absolutely normal to us. So this is actually a green disease. So if we miss that clinical picture, the OCT is not going to help us further in diagnosis or even in progression for this patient. Take this picture. So this patient has come with a large cupping, and basically the optic discs are large in size. Do the visual fields, they come out to be normal. And if somebody does an OCT, that comes out to be abnormal. So how do we rely on that? It's more of a clinical acumen that needs to be attained rather than based on imaging or the visual fields that needs. This is an example of a red disease. A red disease would basically mean that imaging is showing up some defects which are actually not existent in that patient. So there may be a lot of factors which may be responsible for this. A very important thing about OCT is something called as a floor effect. So OCTs may actually help you at still a certain point, but after a certain point, they will not help you because there is a floor effect. Take this 44-year-old patient who has a strong family history of glaucoma, open angles, and we can see an advanced disc damage in both the eyes. He's been undergoing serial visual the OCTs elsewhere, and multiple OCTs are available with him. But if you look at it closely, you'll only find those red spots there. If you look at it closely, you'd find that the average RNFL thickness is close to around 50 microns, which is the lowest level to which an OCT can actually measure. And if you look at the graph also on the lower side with the red arrow, we will show that it's absolutely flat. So this is called as a floor effect because OCT cannot decipher beyond that 45 or 50 microns. And this is the lowest level which the OCT can measure. Needless to say, the visual fields on a 10-2 show advanced damage. So there is no need to get an OCT done to either diagnose or show a progression in this sort of a patient. So there is something called as a structure function correlation. And if we talk about OCT and visual fields, a non-linear relationship exists between structure and function as glaucoma progresses. This is not a linear relation. So if we look at this graph and we look from the right side to the left side, so the estimated RGC count is more on the right side as compared to the left side. And we see the mean deviation in the top arrow and the RNFL below. And we see that the mean deviation does not change so much as the RNFL in the initial stages of the disease when the RGC count is better. If we go into advanced stages on the left side, we see the change in the mean deviation is much more as compared to what changes we see in the RNFL. So initially it is more of the RNFL, and later on it's more on the changes on the mean deviation which we may see. Therefore, structural changes are much more easily detectable in early disease, whereas functional assessments are more likely to show a change in eyes with advanced disease. So how do we go along from this sort of an information? It's important to stage our glaucoma to find out what sort of glaucoma the patient has, whether it's a suspect, it's an early glaucoma, it's a moderate glaucoma, or it's a severe glaucoma. In the suspect to an early glaucomas, we may be doing visual fields and imaging, whatever is available, whether it's an OCT or something else. But when you have perimetric defects from early, moderate to a severe stage, you should always be doing an OCT to find out risk for progression, despite whatever imaging you might be doing. And whatever change we see, we have to find out whether the change is real or the change is artifactual, whether the change is actually there in the patient or not. Because there is something called as a retest variability, which is there in visual fields. And the number of times you repeat that test, there may be a certain amount of variability, especially in patients with advanced glaucomas. Take this example of a patient in which serial visual fields have been done. And at number 3, you can see number 1 and 2 look very similar. And at number 3, there is an apparent progression in that eye. But unless and until you are very sure that this is related to the patient and everything appears to be normal, the pressures are normal, the optic discs appear to be stable, repeat that visual field to find out whether there is actual progression or not. And in number 4, you find that there is actually no progression. This is just a variability of the visual fields that we are looking at. OCT is also plagued by these sort of artifacts which may be related to imaging, the image quality and the segmentation errors. Also, the patient-related artifacts, patient might have moved during the OCT and the image may not be correct, or there may be certain amount of tilt of the optic disc, or there may be certain myopia which may affect it. So how do we, if we compare the glaucoma progression detection by means of OCT and visual fields, how do we stand? On the left side picture, we are talking about patients with glaucoma suspects and pre-perimetric patients, and we find that OCT has a higher detection rate as compared to visual fields for glaucoma progression. That's understood. If you look on the right side, that's perimetric glaucoma. That means patients who have glaucoma and they have visual field defects. We find that OCT still shows a better detection for progression as compared to visual fields. However, if we look closely into this graph again, and we go from mild to moderate to advanced glaucomas, we find that the detection by the RNFL in OCTs gradually decreases when we are moving from mild to advanced glaucomas. You can see it's around 43 in mild and as goes to 26.7 in advanced glaucomas. Compare it to a visual fields and you find that visual fields will still be in detection in advanced glaucomas. Just the last concluding slides. So in eyes without established visual field loss, when there is no visual field loss, structural information is useful for diagnosis and progression. When there is early to moderate visual field loss, that means there is a visual field loss which is early to moderate, both structural and functional information can be used. But as soon as we reach an advanced glaucomas, OCT may reach the floor and it's of no use to do it. And visual field testing becomes the only modality of disease progression. So finally, for patients with perimetric defects, visual fields remain the mainstay of diagnosis and progression and need to step up the therapy. Imaging does play a major part in documenting and detection of change, especially in early glaucomas. Thank you for the opportunity.